a crazy sight in front of us, which we will not be following up on because we are actually playing a workshop edition to this game. Hello everyone, and welcome to Half-Life 2 Adjacent. This is the kind of thing that I would normally do in Garry's Mod VR, but some of you guys have directed my attention to something that is on the Half-Life 2 workshop. Something titled, workshop, My Dreams and Source. I'll be honest, it just never occurred to me that Half-Life 2 actually had workshop support, even though it makes sense that it would. And if this is as it says on the tin, then I am super curious. The workshop page says that this is made from the creator's dreams that they've written down throughout the year 2023, which really interested me because I also keep a dream journal that is dated by year. So, I don't know, it'll be really cool to sort of get an idea of someone's subconscious mindset over a specific period of time. And I've always found that map making is a really therapeutic art form. It's almost like landscape painting, but in full 3D, where you can have as much detail or as little as you like. Let's try it out. Officer Flat Screen has to come out of his police station sometime, right? Did I just get an achievement? Gnome Alone. If you are reading this achievement, Gabe Newell is successful. Okay. My Dreams and Source. A map by Own Doing. Oh, we do have a crowbar, but look, this is really pretty looking. Just a nice little balcony area looking out onto nothing but a wall in front of us. But the ambiance suggests that it's a nice, relaxing day out, so I suppose it is. See, that's the cool thing I found about dreams, is that the spaces in them may not even really make a lot of sense once you wake up and are able to consciously think about them. It's really more about vibes than anything else, and, well, if your dream tells you that you're having a relaxing day, it'll just be a hodgepodge of things you associate with that. Palm trees and waves, even if we can't see the waves. Looks like we're going for a dive, though. Ooh. Horror baby! Horror baby, you've gotten yourself stuck in the bathroom from Saw! Alright, we have to save you. Now that was pretty neat. It only makes sense that in an area like this, it almost seems like some kind of European vacation spot, that it would have a bar. But I imagine this is going to be one of those things that would be affected by what's going on while you're lying in bed. I mean, I can just imagine coming into this area and it presenting as someplace flooded, because really you're like face down in your pillow and having a hard time breathing. Four doors through the chapel, and the sounds fade away. Now things seem a little bit eerier. Is this the way to Horror Baby? It is. There you are, Horror Baby. This may actually be the best place for you. Down there doesn't look like any place for a baby, even if it is a horror baby. Here, let me find some place for you to rest. Right here. Now, I am not worried about copyright because it actually said on the workshop page that the creator composed their own music for this. So in that way, it kind of reminds me of Quantum Dylan's maps. Ooh. You hear that? Whispers from the empty office. Locked? Locked. You know what's cool is that the soundtrack even sort of reminds me of music you'd hear in a dream. Have you ever had that happen? It's the kind of thing where you'll be trying to remember it when you wake up, but it's always so hard to recall exactly what it sounded like. Usually it's something fairly simple, something maybe even repetitive, but something which perfectly encapsulates the feelings of the time. Ah yes, the Che Guevara Memorial Highway. Well, I guess that's better than the roads to the abyss that go off in the other directions. Can we actually fall? Nope, it's a solid wall of black. But we can very much fall from there, so let's try and avoid that. Look. A neon-lit street. Oh, this whole thing is rendered in Suspiria vision. Empty and falling away, as if this is the last piece of land at the end of the world. Anyone home? It doesn't seem so. Ooh. Just on this end of the street, there's a light snowfall threatening to bury this still-running car. The more lonely we are, the colder this world starts to feel, the darker it starts to feel, where now the only illumination is from the headlights. We can crawl inside right here, but there doesn't seem to be anything found within. There's also, look, there's a little bit of a slide on here. We can go ice skating. Oh, I think aliens have come down and are trying to abduct this truck. Aliens abducting a farmer's truck is honestly such a relatable experience. I mean, it shows up in country music and movies all the time. Anything? Oh, we cannot jump very much at all, which means we're probably not meant to be monkeying about. However, we can climb this ladder. That is so cool. What's really interesting about this map to me is how it's willing to make use of all these really bright and vibrant colors. And they don't even have to make sense. They don't even have to have a logical source. It's just there because it would look cool. And let's be real, it's not like dream visuals make much sense anyway. It's really weird how you can feel perfectly normal in a dream, and then when you try to recall a space, or try to even draw it, you start to realize that, like, wait a minute, that geometry is literally impossible, and yet I perceived it as if there was nothing wrong. Loading bay. Oop. Nope, that's not where I was trying to go. I need to be on the platform. There we are. And bounce, and bounce. I keep thinking I see movement. I think it's just me, though. Ooh, what's through here? We can crawl through. Well, it's the only way to go. I'm hearing some sounds that I don't necessarily like. This is sort of reminding me of GM Catacombs. Yeah, listen, listen, listen. It sounds like something's moving, or like a cart grinding along a track. This thing flows like dreams because it's all these short little environments And I understand that they're connected from various dreams, but this is how dreams flow. You kind of have like one specific goal in mind usually, but the specifics, the environment around you keeps changing, and it's all very fluid. You usually don't even notice while it's happening. Oh my. The remains of some battle, and we can't take the guns, so let's just conduct a disarmament campaign, just in case they're not really dead. From night onto daylight, all it took was a few minutes underground. You can hear the sounds of machinery, work, of vehicles moving around. But there's nothing actually moving. Locked. A whole lot of doors for us to try, though. A control room. But I don't suppose we can do anything from here. It keeps jump scaring me how those doors close on their own. Like, I wonder if this would be born out of, like, nostalgia. Nostalgia for a time and place where they used to work, or maybe even a time like their parent brought them to work. I mean, hearing that music coupled with all of this on a bright and sunny day, it definitely feels comfy. Like I said, like a recalled memory. It's definitely a lot more positive of a vibe than previous areas. Let's get through here. I know dream interpretation.
I see you.
I didn't see you and you scared the bejesus out of me. Ah, there's some minecarts. Perhaps we can get these moving somehow? Don't want to drop down there. See, I'm trying to interpret how these dreams would have played out, potentially. Like, here's another potential interpretation that isn't rooted in nostalgia. Being in a place where you know that, like, heavy industrial action is happening, but not being able to avoid danger, hearing it but not knowing where it's coming from, and anxiety in being in such a space. And so, obviously, that anxiety would heighten when you literally have to walk along narrow rails in order to get where you're going. See, I find that very often dreams can be explained with, you know, your common everyday fears and anxieties. Usually they're just some expression of those fears coming true. We can break that. Can we do anything with this? No. Okay. Nope. But we can... Oh god, have I softboxed myself? No? We can get over here. Straight to the other side. I'm starting to think this creator is a big fan of cozy Mediterranean resorts. Okay, this one may not have been made for the map, so I'm a little more worried about that. Oh hey, the poolside shower actually works! That's neat. We can't turn it off though, this is a nightmare. The water bill is gonna be staggering. Oh, never mind, it turns off on its own. This is a dream. Oh, side in. Okay, now this is definitely a dream. It's a poolside resort where we can somehow hear the music underwater. Whoa. See, this is what I was saying. So what's back here then? That was kind of creepy. But it sort of reminds me of what I said about the industrial area. Out here, it's all cozy and warm. It feels so relaxing. And then you decide, okay, I'll go check out the bar, dry off. And you get inside, and it's dark. At first, you're wondering, are you even supposed to be here? I'm sorry, I had to get out of there because that sound was just so overwhelming. The thought of overwhelming noise with nothing but stillness around me does and always will creep me out, and it's the kind of thing that I often experience in dreams. Tell you what else is going on here that I often experience in dreams. The way this darkness is portrayed. I mean, we can see that it's dark in here. I imagine there'd be some unease stepping inside thinking that it may be closed. And when you start to hear the sounds that you would expect from a place like this all around you, but with no one in sight, you start squinting into the dark, and there's enough space here that you can see that the bar is 3D. It's almost a confusing darkness where it's just a wall of black back there. But you kind of feel from the bars that you should be able to see just beyond it. If only you could get your flashlight a little further. If only you could focus a bit more. And it starts to make it feel not like there's something wrong with the room, but that there's something wrong with yourself. I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but I always in dreams have like some kind of weird disability like that where I'm just incapable of performing some action or perceiving something that I should easily be able to. And it always feels like it's something that's always been the case. Like I'll always curse the fact that I can't do this easy thing. I mean, the obvious things would be like, okay, often you can't run, or you run very slowly, or can't throw a punch. But with me, a lot of the time, it's like I'll struggle to see something that's right in front of me. Or I'll be trying to, like, find something that's in the room, but it always just moves away, and I'll only get the sound. Nice. Okay, it's a good thing it wouldn't let me mess with that, because messing with a power box while standing shin deep in water doesn't seem like the best idea. Look at that. It's like some giant metal bug crawling on the wall. Is that a giant cockroach? I'm gonna need a bigger boot. It's funny, when things get abstract like that, it's almost like I'm having the dream for the first time. Imagine wading through this water and coming upon that thing and thinking, the roaches must somehow be behind this. Locked. Well, at least we can get out of the water. No light except for the sunlight that comes in through the partially boarded windows. And while we can still hear the wind and waves and seabirds that the creator seems to love so much, it all falls off into darkness and abandonment after, beyond the flooding, the front of the hospital looked so intact. And the hospital becomes a classroom. Something I talk about a lot is how the way dreams flow, it's very often like one thought connects onto the other. You could be having the time of your life, but the smallest detail can set you on a completely different course. So for example, like, maybe you imagine you're on a fun trip with your friends, but one of the people in your group is like, I don't know, that one really mean teaching assistant from when you were a kid, and that leads to you finding some abandoned bunker in the woods, which leads to you being a soldier in World War II under artillery shelling, and it's just one little thing tends to push the mood in a certain direction, really whatever you focus on. And the scary thing is, you may not have a choice. Lucid dreaming is essentially when you do. Or rather, when you realize that you have a choice. Come on. Huh. The bottles are super strong here. Oh, dogs. That was so specific and sounded like it was right in my ear. It really jump-scared me. But flooded town becomes hospital, becomes abandoned school, becomes town in better times. Dreams have a habit of going back onto the same track, and Mediterranean resort town seems to be our constant. As well as bathtub. Water, or places associated with water, seems to be another constant. Oh, there's a dark haze hanging in the air. No horror babies here, though. What does that sound? It gave us that one moment of brightness before entering into a dilapidated family home on an empty street at night. That's some amazing whiplash. We started to be fearful with the roach in the abandoned area. We had a moment of respite as we almost tried to steer our thoughts back on track, but ultimately, we lost out. I do find that dreams tend to skew towards the negative, like those thoughts are the hardest to avoid. In general, I find that a common theme of dreams is a loss of control. Usually about some area that we're worried about in real life. In this case, it's we ourselves who are lost, and so the environment is threatening. With all these horror sounds coming out of the dark. But perhaps a light on a cabin porch can provide respite? Probably not, but we don't have much other choice. See, this is where I'm starting to see the ideas start to flow. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to use you as a human piñata, but I was trying to think of my point here. This is where the ideas start to, naturally flow. We're alone in the dark, we associate light, any light, with safety, we find it in this cabin, but we still have a sense of foreboding. We enter and find that the light is nothing but the place actively burning down, and a hanged, charred corpse in the remains. Are those things redundant? Maybe, but who cares? It's a dream. The only thought in our head is bad. As we start to feel like maybe this was a trap, that house turns into an abandoned Soviet bunker. But then there's an association with history, which leads to museum, which leads us right back to coastal paradise. The man who resurrected the glory of ancient Rome, pottery from around the world. After your tour, feel free to join us in the lobby restaurant where you can eat off the priceless earthenware from our very own collections. Dine with the ancients. We wash them. We promise. I wonder if there's any places that actually do things like this, because I remember reading a story maybe sometime last year about a small child who destroyed some old piece of pottery or vase or something, and the museum basically said that, like, they weren't all that worried about it, that, like, artifacts like that aren't enclosed for a reason, and that these things are, like, basically a dime a dozen. Villa Piranesi, ancient sundial built for Mad Emperor Fred. Grand orrery created by the gnomes of Zurich. Welcome to Villa Piranesi. I wonder if these are assets from another game, like from a Counter-Strike map or something, or if it really is all custom. Either way, these familiar images always seem to come back. Ooh, we can hop the wall. But perhaps we don't want to stray too far from the tour. Can we enter the ticket office? Nope. Well, this is my dream. I don't need a ticket. Huh. I thought they would drop me to my doom for not having a ticket. Oop. Sometimes you just have to drop yourself to your own doom. I just got golden retrievered. Trying to walk through a glass door. I'm starting to notice that these tiled, like, bathroom areas seem to always act as like a transitional space. Liminal, some might say. As well as having to drop down onto flooded areas from a hole in the ceiling. Oh, there's a whole armory. We're back in the Soviet bunker. Like we've gone in one end and exited the other side. After seeing so much flooding, it seems that paradise has dried up. What's our reward for all that climbing? Back onto the nightmare streets, but now there's nowhere to go. Look at that. There's like a dip on the sides of the roads, so it makes it feel like you're gonna fall into nothing if you try and avoid whatever cars will inevitably be coming around these corners. Imagine how anxiety-fueled that would be. Like, there's just a wall of imperception, so we can't see what's around the corner until we're directly in its path. I don't like how that sound seems to start and stop. Contaminated area. Still lit but abandoned gas station. Oh, but thankfully someone's constructed a shoddy wooden bridge to get us back to something resembling reality. You know, I've just had a bit of a brain blast. Our dreams are a lot like liminal space photos, in that the only perspective we have is our own, And so everything we remember is kind of like a snapshot, where nothing exists beyond what's in our immediate perception. And it creates that sort of dollhouse feeling. But it's something we're only able to see as such when it's recreated in this way. Help. Welcome back once again. Excuse me? Whose dream is this? What? This is in this? Really? Oh my god. Wait, was that caused by trying this door, or was it just for getting too close? I guess we'll never know. Well, there's another me having adventures in here somewhere. Thank you, creator. This map came out in like November. I'm really sorry it's taken me so long to get to this. Thank you to those who suggested it. Here's our Half-Life 2 physics sandbox. But as with everything, it's all completely dead. Map by own doing. There's cake. Cake, cake, cake. We can actually come in. Well, that drum beat certainly creates a sense of anticipation, doesn't it? You've made it through all my dreams. Congratulations. Well, I'm happy to have done so. This was really cool. I mean, like, the fidelity of this map, it was just really good looking, you know? And I really loved how all the areas both do and don't connect. I mean, knowing the origins of all these things, there's something so raw about things that are directly lifted from dreams, because it's definitely an artistic expression, but not in the usual way. Or actually, I'm not even really sure if I can say that, because what I was gonna say is that it's not so much artistic expression in the sense of, you know, an artist trying to get a certain feeling across, but rather trying to relay something that was essentially gifted to them by their subconscious. And that was my original statement, but I realized the more I think about it that it's kind of dumb, because what else is artistic expression? I mean, it comes to the artist in a very different way, something that's much less deliberate, but it is deliberate in how they choose to put that to screen, how they choose to craft it as a map. I mean, even if it is trying to just, in its raw state, try and recreate what they saw, you've got to fill in the blanks somewhat, right? I mean, what else is a dream but the creator's innermost fears and thoughts and anxieties, and even just the ideas that are swirling in their head, put together as a collection of images that they only interpret once they wake up. It's just so cool to me that Source has made it so easy, relatively speaking, to allow people to kind of put things together in this way. I really do think that 3D world art is a really underappreciated form of art, and I had a lot of fun exploring it. The cool thing is, it's not my dreams. It's someone else's dreams, and so, of course, they'll have what they took away from it, but I can walk through this and come away with something completely different. I was trying to be really analytical and look at it from the perspective of both what they would have been feeling and what might have inspired those thoughts in the first place. And they may look at this, I hope they get to see this, and think, wow, you're totally off the mark on how I thought of some of those things. But that's the cool thing about it. It's like I'm having someone else's dreams. And when presented with the same images, I can come away with a completely different interpretation. It's almost like a Rorschach test. I almost view dreams as like a pure audio-visual experience, like a movie. where the whole point of something like the medium of film or gaming is to create scenarios and images that are designed to hopefully lead the viewer, the player, to feeling what the artist wants them to feel about what they're showing. And with dreams, it doesn't have to use any kind of tricks or technique to get them there, because when you're dreaming, those feelings are automatically applied. You can look at something like a potted plant or a screwdriver on a shelf and be overwhelmed with emotion, or just immediately get the association you're supposed to get. But, as a secondhand observer of these dreams, I won't get that. I won't get that the way the dreamer did, but I will bring in my own interpretations. I honestly don't even know if I'm making any sense here. Hopefully I am, but that's one thing that I really love about the prevalence the last few years of dream-inspired artwork, is that I think with the internet, people are kind of vocalizing their thoughts that are so intrinsic to their inner life experience. And it's the kind of thing that you'd sound insane to say it, or at least you would think so. But now that art is more out there, people are chiming in and saying they do relate to it. And we're kind of putting names and more analysis on those little feelings that we all have that are more universal than we thought. That's what's so cool about these things. And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one. God, that sound is unnerving.